Welcome to the 12th House Podcast, Hot Takes Edition. On our Hot Takes episodes, we have a super short little micro version of the 12th House Podcast where we dive into a theme, an idea, a concept, and we give you our hot takes, our unpopular opinions, and we try to do it in under 20 minutes. Honestly, so far we haven't been successful in doing that, but we're really working towards it. I'm Michelle, the founder and head witch in charge here at Holisticism, and today I'm talking with my coworker Thais Francis about the concept of sliding scale and how we use sliding scale at Holisticism. We talk about it a little bit in this episode, but I wanted to give some context before we jump into the conversation. Holisticism moved to a sliding scale model in early 2020. So everything that we offer, all of our products, goods, and services are offered on a sliding scale, meaning that you can select what you want to pay for them. Why did we do this? We made this decision as a team. At the time, just me and Thais, because we're really committed to creating a business that's built on principles of anti-oppression. And capitalism is intrinsically tied to sites of oppression and perpetuates oppression. And if we can divest from capitalism as much as possible in our business, then I think that we're doing some good work or significant work towards making this space more inclusive and accessible. And that's important to us. So while it sounds great on paper, moving to a sliding scale and having people pick what they want to pay for what you offer, it was a big undertaking. Pretty much 99% of the people that I asked and talked to about it told me not to do it. So I did it. And I had some great advice and help from Surge, SURJ, standing up for racial justice. Their sliding scale model really helped me create ours. And then Warts and Cunning, which is an herbalism sort of like organization and resource, also offers sliding scale and has some different perspectives on it. And I definitely learned a lot from reading about their sliding scale methods on their website. And I also was greatly inspired by the Brooklyn acupuncture group that is now out of business, unfortunately. So you won't be able to find them online anymore, but I was really inspired by them because they had a sliding scale model as well in their business. And today we're talking about how it worked for us and how it also hasn't worked and giving you just some insights on this grand experiment because that's what it was. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and let's get into it. Hello and welcome to our micro episode. I'm here with Thais.
Hi!
And today we're talking about sliding scale at Holisticism and a little bit really briefly on how it's worked for us over the last year and what's changing because it's a grand experiment. And Thais, can you reiterate your role at Holisticism so the people know?
Hello everyone, I'm Thais. I am the head of member success. My pronouns are she, her, king, and yeah.
Yep. So Thais is, wow, you're the OG Holisticism team member.
I'm your first employee.
First hire. I know. Crazy. And we've been working together for a year.
I know. Michelle made me take a bunch of tests before I came on board. And then I just remember she was just like, let's compare our test scores. And I was just like, no. You can just look at the test. I'm not going to look at these
You were like, I don't care. Yeah. You make me sound a little bit neurotic, which is not wrong. You're not wrong. I was like, what's your birthday and your birth time and your birth location?
I enjoyed that moment when you were like, let's look at the things. And I was just like, no, thanks. Because I was like, this sets the culture for our relationship. It
does.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I mean, if it's interesting to me, I can look at it. But if you don't care, then that's cool too.
Right. But it was so weird to tell your boss no. But I was just like, yeah, no. So,
So yeah, that's our relationship. And I would say we have a pretty co-creative relationship. When it comes to how we interact with the community and how we serve our people, because you are so close to them from one perspective, from like the sort of admin and behind the scenes perspective, and I'm close to them on the other side. So when it came to like moving the entire business to sliding scale, which we did, I think in April, it was a scary experiment. But what did you think when we made that leap? And I was like, I think I want to do this crazy thing.
Well, I can only talk about it in hindsight, having been there for the months that we've done it. Because when I was in it, like whatever you say, honestly, I'm gonna be like, all right, this is what we're doing. So I was just like doing the things that you're like, this is what we're doing now. I would say it was really brave, and it's very counterculture, but it's very much what we believe in at Holisticism. I just finished reading All About Love by Bell Hooks. It was talking about, you know, capitalism and individualism and how it maintains like power structures. But if we are able to do things on a sliding scale, well, she didn't talk about sliding scale, but applying it to that, if we are able to have a sliding scale, it makes us have stronger communities where people who can support, those who can't will, and those who would otherwise not have access now have access, so that the playing field for information, resources, you know, empowerment, all of the things that we provide will be equal. And at the end of the day, that is what we want. And so, yeah, what we did was very counterculture, and I don't know who else does it. And I'm just like, this is great. And there have been like ups and downs, but that's a part of like an experiment. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And you articulated the point of sliding scale so beautifully. It's to create more access and more resource for everyone, and really to build community truly, not from like the center out, but like all together, like we're all sort of joining hands together. That's a dumb metaphor, but it takes the power out of the hands of the people in charge, and it reinvests the power into the community to help each other. And you can create structures so that we can do that, right? So it's less patriarchal, it's less individualistic, and it's less one person leading the charge and saying, for example, that would be like, perhaps scholarships would be something like that, right? Where one person or one group of like ruling people select who wins the scholarship. And there's nothing wrong with scholarships, because they can make so much accessible, and they can be a really amazing way to bring equity into your business. But we wanted to try sliding scale because it felt a little more radical, and because it felt right for us at this point in the business.
And also the thing about scholarships, it does also create containers, and it perpetuates like individualism. So this individual got the scholarship, but we're saying it's not about the individual anymore. It's about the community.
Right. Yes, exactly. And instead of like one person doling out the scholarship, it's everyone coming together to sort of pool resources together and say, we can like broaden this circle, right? Because if I have a little bit more to give this month, that means that you can come in. And I hope that we're putting faith in others, thinking, in the future, if I'm in your position, if I can't pay a little bit more next month, maybe you can help me, or maybe there's another way that you can resource me. Because, by the way, that like money is just one type of resource. And
currency.
Yeah.
But it's not just currency. It is currency, but there's also so much more in addition to currency.
Right. And when we were building a community, for example, the North Node, yes, paying for it is a way to bring resource to the community. But another way to bring resource to that community is to be engaged, is to give back, is to share what you know. So to like sort of view people paying for a subscription or a membership or even a course or a product as the only way they can bring value to something, I think really ignores how much resource we all have access to and the dimensionality in that resource. But anyways, we went for it. We took the leap. We moved everything to a sliding scale, meaning that, and we created a self-selecting sliding scale. So we sort of created a container, meaning that for every product that we created, we had 3 different pricing tiers, red, yellow, and blue. Blue was our highest price, and that was the true cost of the product. So when we sort of like sketched out how much it costs for us to keep our lights on, metaphorically, to pay our employees, to make sure all of our bills were covered, to pay our taxes, and then to have a little bit more like sort of profit that we could reinvest back into ourselves to build the business, that was the blue tier. And that's where most businesses operate, right? Where they're thinking about just making the revenue that they need to survive and then having a little left over to reinvest and innovate. Yellow was our medium tier, where basically, like, if we were not going to make any profit, if we were just going to cover our costs, that's the cost of the product. And then finally, the red tier, which is at the lowest, is the deepest discount, and we're taking a loss on the product at that level. And so we opened up our sliding scale. Anyone could come in at any price that they wanted to. And we had some recommendations based on your level of privilege or how you might orient around money as to where you probably fall on that sliding scale. You can go find this on holisticism.com/workshops, because there's an example on there if you want to see the sliding scale that we made. And it's been a really big experiment, because Thais, we've talked about this so much. We're asking people to relate so differently to product and exchanging money for a service than they're used to. Capitalism has taught us that we need to look for the lowest possible price and get the best deal possible. Like, think about how we shop on Amazon. We're looking for like the cheapest used book that we can find, the best deal, because that's extractive capitalism. We're looking out for just us, not the people who are making the product or who are delivering the product to our house or whatever. So to sort of reorient your mind away from that can be really disorienting.
Yeah, and I think capitalism also reinforces the idea of scarcity, because there is this idea that you can't actually have it all, or that someone else is going to take it, which is why if it's cheap, or get it now, get it at this price, like just certain messaging like that informs how we view money. And that's one of the things that I have encountered with our members, is there is an idea of scarcity where people, and also I can relate, because I have been there. I have been the scarcest of the bunch, where it's just like, I probably could do this price, but I'm going to do this one because it's available and it's cheaper, and that's what I'm going to do. And that's so energetically, I'm not allowing myself to say, I have this and I can do this, and then I can get more to do more the next time. I'm saying I'm going to stay here because I'm in this scarcity mindset. And I think one of the things that we are doing with our sliding scale is calling people higher. Some people get it, but then a lot of people don't. And I don't fault them, because it's like, who else is doing this? And who else is calling people higher when it comes to like our currency? One of the things that I'm really excited about is putting onus back on members and seeing them rise to the occasion. So when we do have members who have changed tiers, because sometimes people can't always afford things at a certain time. So, they change the tier, and I'm happy we have that availability. But then when other members like go back up or they change and they say, I believe in what you all are providing, and then I can say, thank you for doing this. You're making this more accessible. Just a reminder that this is bigger than us. And if you're able to do this, do it, because you're helping us all get better,
Exactly. Yeah. I think most people, when they see sliding scale, they assume that the lowest price is like what it takes to run the business, when in fact, if everything that we offered was at the lowest price of the North Node, our business would be bankrupt. Like, we wouldn't have a business. So it can be confusing, I think, for people. They're like, well, why do I have to pay more money if you can offer this to me for cheaper? And the reason is because you're creating opportunity for someone else, potentially, just by paying that average price. And that's something that we care about so much at Holisticism, is accessibility and inclusivity, and to also like thinking about money and resource in a new way and community in a new way.
I like to think of it as conscious capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like we're capitalism critical, right? But we also recognize that we live in a world where we have to make money, right? We live in a capitalist structure. So how can we sort of walk the line between these two things, right? Between living and playing and operating in this world that we actually are quite critical of, while also finding new ways and sharing those with more people, and making sure that we are resourced ourselves, right? So that we have longevity, so that we can be around for a long time, so that, I can pay Thais a really great salary and pay for healthcare, so that we can get like vacations and go on breaks and do all the things that we need to do in order to replenish ourselves, so we can pour back into our community.
Yes, sis. And I'm here for being replenished. I'm here for the rest and relaxation and the replenishment. Replenish me.
Yep. We've been on this grand experiment. So far, we've learned a lot. I would say so far it's been a success because we're not abandoning the sliding scale. I think it's been actually like really amazing. But we've learned some like nuances around how we could do better, as Thais kind of alluded to. And so I think a big part of that is just educating on why the sliding scale and how it works and the way that we're using it, because there are a million ways to use sliding scale in your business. And we're going to try something new for the North Node for when we open the doors at the end of December.
Yes, we are. We're going to offer certain amounts for certain tiers. So we're going to offer for our red tier, which is the lowest tier, we'll offer a certain amount. And then for the middle one, which is yellow, there's a certain amount. And then the blue one, the highest, that's going to be open to the rest of the community. And I'm actually really excited about that because I think going further with this experiment, like it's leaning into abundance. And as a person who has dealt with so much scarcity, I know the idea is like we want to get everyone in and so for me, it's just automatically like the lower price because that's my scarcity mindset. We do more at this price and more people can come. But what I'm saying is trusting in the product that we have and how great it is and saying, listen, you will be doing yourself a disservice to not be a part of this. And people were hoping that they recognize that. And so whatever tier you are able to come into, like, take that, but do it like with integrity. Because if you take it at this point, you are actually taking it away from someone else who might need it a bit more than you. So before we offered it, you could self-select. Now we're doing it where you are to navigate with like even more integrity. Don't take it from somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, you still get to self-select just because like this is economics, right? So we know like what we needed to make the business run and what we need in order to support the team and to continue to do our work. And now that we've experimented with this for a little bit, we can say, okay, here's a happy place for us to exist. If we have X number of paying full memberships, we can give away X number of discounted memberships, or we can make those available. And the more paying members that we have, the more discounted memberships we can give away, right? And ideally, that's what we end up doing. And that's how sliding scale works. You know, it's sort of like a bell curve, meaning that like the median price is in the center as opposed to the median price is at the lower end of the spectrum. So if the sliding scale is working well, naturally, everyone will sort of plot closer to the center. The median will be closer to the actual price of the product, right? So hopefully that's what ends up working this time around, and we'll see. We're going to, as they said, open up a certain number of spots for red and then a certain number of spots for yellow and then have it open for blue. And I mean, like in my brain, I'm like, okay, I know what our cutoff is. Like I know what our goal is. And if we go beyond that with our blue full price memberships, we'll definitely open up more sliding scale spots. Because again, it's just economics, right? So it's a formula. It's a ratio of when we have X number of blue spots or paying full spots open, then we can apply that ratio to our red and yellow spots. So that's great. If we get more people than we're expecting who come in, we can open up even more sliding scale memberships for people.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's that. What do you think is going to happen? What's your prediction?
I think that people are going to navigate with integrity because they'd feel bad if they didn't.
Yeah. I hope they don't feel bad. I think that
I do. It's like, girl, look, we're doing this for the world. Like, you be a part of the change, please. But I'm not trying to guilt nobody. So honestly, what I do think is the idea is I'm empowering you. So I want people to come into this feeling empowered because that is the intention. We'll have empowered people coming and making this. I'm really excited.
Me too.
And also, we're so amazing, Michelle. Like, what we do is so phenomenal. I'm biased, but I'm also telling the truth. So, you know, I just feel like so many, like, take advantage. We're great over here. Like,
we're super humble.
This is what it is.
We can take a little bit of credit for it, right? Like we've built amazing programming and we have incredible master classes and teachers who come in and who we pay to come in. And that's a big part of it too, right? And we have an amazing team who works at Holisticism, and a big part of the North Node is the community of people in it, you know, like if those people sucked, the North Node would suck. But those people are incredible human beings. And that, I think, is like the most valuable thing that you get out of joining a thoughtful community, is like that you get to be around those people and like-minded individuals who are like there to support you. And I think during this really weird year where everyone's been virtual, it's been amazing to have this group of people. They're all like best friends. It's so cool.
Yeah. And it's very diverse. For somebody like me, I would have never really come into the North Node because like I navigated in echo chambers and I was very comfortable with that. And then when I came into the North Node, the first book that I read was about like that white fragility book. And I just remembered going to like, I'm an artist, so I was having a meeting at the Fox lot. I was just like, I could see myself for the first time. And it was because of the stuff we were doing. And I was just like, wow, it really opened up my eyes. And that's something that I appreciate.
Well, Thais, you make the North Node what it is because you're in charge of member success. So it wouldn't be as dope without you. Certainly wouldn't be if I was the only one in charge of it, that's for sure. You take care of everyone.
Yeah.
Well, any last thoughts on sliding scale?
Last thoughts. I'm really into it. I mean, I'm like really into experimenting, and I'm really into what we're doing is creating culture, and it's counterculture. I'm excited to be part of something that says we're going to lean into abundance. Who leans into the abundance, Michelle? Ever. Especially on like when it comes to money and offerings and all that stuff, people be fighting like they do, but they don't really. And so we're doing the thing. And that's why sliding scale is my new almost favorite thing.
Yeah, it is really fucking scary to move the business to sliding scale. Really scary. And it's really cool. And we don't have it perfect. We're still experimenting with it. But that's the beauty of running an intuitive business, is you get to experiment and you don't have to follow the rules the way that everyone tells you have to do them if you don't like them. So if you don't like the way that people are telling you to run your business, don't do it that way. Find a more creative, different, interesting, exciting way to do it. Easier said than done, but experimentation and failure is a big part of the process. And we've had many failures along the sliding scale journey. And now we're like taking those failures, learning from them and trying some new stuff. And I hope you can join us in the North Node. And hopefully really this shined a light on sliding scale, and maybe you want to apply it in your business based off of what we learned. So do you want to talk about more stuff like this? Check out the North Node. We talk about intuitive business and how to be a leader and a visionary from an intuitive, magical, heart-centered place. That heart-centered always makes me like want to throw up. I think that's the dumbest way to describe anything, but I don't know why it just came out of my mouth.
No, I just opened up my heart chakra last week. For
the first time.
I did. And so I'm just like, listen, I'm doing this whole heart thing now. Like, I'm leaving with my heart. What's
I'm really
up?
all about love. Yeah. Like.
Yes, girl.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to learn more, join the North Node. And thanks for coming on and talking with me about this, Thais. I love you.
I love you.
All right. That's the app. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'd love to hear your hot takes on sliding scale, because listen, we're just trying to make it better and just do this business thing, an intuitive business thing, in a way that feels intuitive and good and like it's helping people. So if you have a hot take on sliding scale or more ethical models of business, we'd love to hear it. You can shoot me a text at the number in our show notes. And it helps us so much when you share the podcast on Instagram or with your friends, or you just shoot off a text to someone and you share it with them. Or if you feel like really, really generous today, you write a review on Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. Oh my God, it makes a huge difference and it means so much to us. So thank you if you've already done that. It means the world, truly. And if that's in the cards for you today, so many blessings your way. And even if it's not, also so many blessings your way. Thanks for listening to this episode, and we'll see you next week. Okay, bye.